Thank you for having me here at the International Cargo Bike Festival. I will tell you something about how to find investors and funding. Let me see how this works. Yes. My name is Joyce. I work at the Regional Development Agency of the Utrecht region. Together with my colleague Yuri, we are the Earth Ventures investment team, which is one of the activities of the Utrecht region. I put up an agenda for today. We start a little bit with the basics, like early stage company life cycle development, and then we dive into the funding. And then the latter part is the introduction of the ROM Utrecht region, if we have enough time. Well, we follow the GRID startup framework when we look at startups and scale-ups for our investment activities, which should follow this path of development. So starting at stage 1 as being a startup and having a lot of research on their problem solution fit, product market fit, and having validation on that, and then have consistent growth to the next phase. So you have specific milestones for each stage, what you like to see companies are achieving, and which validates going to the next stage. And it also identifies in which stage a certain company is in, so you know what the attention points for the next stage is. For the funding part, you have different funding purposes. If you have startups and scale-ups, you can need funding, for example, for product development, for market research, for resources, for example, for your hardware product, or maybe for team expansion, sales and marketing costs. So you have different kind of funding purposes, and also different kind of funders, so funding providers, which have a variety of instruments like equity or loans. Depends on the funding provider. But I think this is important to realize that it is good to identify the funding purpose of a startup or scale-up, and then see which funding providers might fit my funding purpose. Well, if you look at the road of startups and scale-ups, and then regarding the funding part, when we follow 0 to 10 years pathway, roughly, then we first have the pre-seed and seed stage, which is really like the inception of the company, validating the problem solution fit, like I have identified a problem, is it really there? I have developed a solution, is this indeed a solution for that problem? Like gain a lot of data and validation, build your minimum viable product, look at your business model, and mostly we see founders bootstrapping that part, and when they are in need of funding, you have like their friends, families, and fools. So like the first line of people and parties within their own network, which are keen to support that founder in that really early stage. And also business angels, that's like formal entrepreneurs or wealthy individuals who invest in companies, and often also support the companies with their knowledge and network. You have some non-dilutive options like grants, and sometimes early stage VCs, but those are really scarce. This is more later stage. In the next stage, early stage and growth, there is a product market fit focus. So you have, if your product develops, maybe not final yet, but you have an MVP, like a version for which customers would like to pay you. And then it's important to validate that. Do I really have a market for my product? And that should be repetitive and also be scalable. And for that phase, certain other funding providers are active. So you have the venture capital firms which fund the mostly Series E, Series A, starting Series A, and also sometimes more strategic investors. Could be the corporate venture capital parties or market parties, but from our point of view, that would be less preferable. Going further in the development roadmap, then you have the later stage companies and eventually maturity and then exit. So for the later stage, you also have VCs who are focused on that specific stage, or private equity or strategic investors. And the goal of at least the venture capital investors is to eventually exit the company, so the company gets sold. So their shares will also get sold and they earn a return. And where we see the most challenging part, it's called the valley of death, is in the really early stage when you don't have enough validation yet, but you are in need of funding, but you are too early stage for the professional funders, but your current investors are already, they already invested their max, so that's a difficult stage in which many startups fail. Specifically looking at the venture capital part, because we as a regional development agency are also a form of venture capital, but a public form of venture capital. It's in essence a high risk, high reward kind of instrument. It is equity investments in early stage startups and scale-ups, which are innovative and scalable and may gain a dominant market position. They are early stage, so not break even yet. They have a certain burn rate, no revenue or only limited. So it's a lot of uncertainties within those companies. And as I already mentioned, like the goal of the venture capital firm is to exit the company within a certain period of time, which is mostly 5 to 7 years after they invested. Depending on the type of company, if it's really early stage, it may take a little bit longer, or if it's a deep tech company. And the funding mostly provides a runway for 18 to 24 months. So you provide runway to go to the next stage and to go to the next funding round and to achieve certain value inflection points, which are needed for and making it to another stage, which I showed earlier. And it's a very selective process. So of all the leads who are coming in, who apply for a funding, only about 5% make it to a deal. So it's a really selective process and also a lengthy process. So 6 to 9 months approximately from application to deal closing. Here we have some tips if you are looking for funding. Not sure if there are any startups or scale-ups here in the audience, but this might be of help. As I mentioned earlier, determine the need for your funding. So is it for hardware or is it for other purposes? Because that may determine which funding providers may suit best. So you can really look specifically for the right funders. And when looking for venture capital funding, we also have certain tips for you. Often venture capital firms have a very clear website with regard to, for example, their investment focus, their criteria. So do you have a certain revenue hurdle or a certain sector in which you are active, that kind of stuff. So you can have a first impression whether you are, whether it might fit that fund or not. And as I said, it's a lengthy process and also quite intensive. we mostly recommend founders also to get in touch early on with venture capital firms. Also, when you don't need funding at that moment, because it's good to to develop a relationship, and so the investor can also track your company and developments instead of having a snapshot and one moment in time. Yeah, where to find investors? Well, first start in your own network. You may be surprised what kind of parties you have in your own network, or maybe parties who can introduce you to certain funding providers. Well, you have several events as well, whether it is in the VC ecosystem where investors and founders come together, or maybe events for your specific space of industry. And also, warm introductions or other types of events. I also added a link from the Chamber of Commerce with finance guide, which also includes some suggestions. Well, very short, also something about the ROM Utrecht region. We are a regional development agency, publicly funded. We have several activities, innovation, internationalization, and investments. I work at the investment team. We have a number of funds ourselves, from very early stage, de vroege fase financiering, until the Series A. And we focus with these funds on innovative startups and scale-ups within our region, which is the province of Utrecht and the Gooi-Vechtstreek. And have several criteria which are also shown at our website. I need to wrap up. All right. Well, if you have any questions, this is our portfolio, by the way, also presented on our website. Let me go to that one. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'm here another hour approximately, but you can also reach out by email or otherwise. Thanks a lot.